my photo taste is the Pinterest, because they are the best.
To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English
from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Lee. And today we are talking about women's rights. Catherine, do you think women's rights are well covered by the media?
Covered means talked about, and I would say it could be better, to be honest. Many women's magazines are all about beauty tips, fashion, and how to please your man. Now, I'm interested in the real issues. One thing the media doesn't talk about much is what the role of childless women like myself is. And childless means having no children.
Yes, in some societies, the role of women, the way they are expected to behave is to have children. If they don't, it's like there is something wrong with them and they are supposed to be unhappy.
I have no children and I'm very happy. Anyway, women in various countries around the world want to discuss problems which are close to home. And that's why the BBC has organised a series of programmes to discuss the issues that affect half the world's population. The series is called 100 Women, and it's the theme of this 6 Minute English.
The discrimination against women happens in different ways in different countries.
Discrimination means the unjust treatment of people who belong to different groups. In this case, male and female. Maybe, Lee, more women should be in positions of power, and that's what today's quiz question is about. Lee, how many female heads of state or government do we have around the world now in 2015? Is it A, 9, B, 19, or C, 29?
Well, I'm going to guess C, 29.
That's very optimistic, and we'll find out later if you're right. Now, let's talk about the BBC's 100 Women season. The season will include programmes across all the BBC platforms, including radio, online, TV and social media. And the BBC's Tammy Walker is working on the social media offer. Here she is explaining what audiences can expect.
Within the season, we've got big debates. One is news failing women, which obviously is at the core of what we're trying to get to. And that will be a live debate held in London, but we're going to have people speaking in different countries about that. And we're also doing a big debate called What Does It Mean to Be a Good Girl or an Ideal Woman? December the 1st, we have 3 topics: leadership, relationships and image, and we're going to do 3 live debates on that day. And we've sent out packs to over 100 women's groups around the world so that on the day they all get involved.
So at the core of the project 100 Women, there will be live debates. By the way, the word core means the central part of it.
Indeed. And as you know, Lee, in some countries, women face some fairly basic problems. Here's Tammy Walker again, and this time, what word means, well, you know, what you do when you...
This is a download from BBC Learning English. To find out more,
project 100 Women, there will be live debates. By the way, the word core means the central part of it.
Indeed. And as you know, Lee, in some countries, women face some fairly basic problems. Here's Tammy Walker again, and this time, what word means, well, you know, what you do when you go to the toilet?
We're tying in with World Toilet Day with the right to pee. For example, in India, women are charged 25 rupees to go to the toilet, where men obviously can go anywhere for free. You don't have to pay to go.
Yes, women in India have to pay to pee. It means to urinate, to pass water, while men can go anywhere. It is a matter of public health too.
Most definitely. Now, this is the 3rd BBC 100 Women season. Last time, it prompted a big discussion in Iran. Let's hear what Sanam Dalatshahi has to say. She's a producer from BBC Persian, and can you understand what the word sexism means? many people are familiar with other isms. For example, racism. When you say racism, people know what it means in Iran, but not necessarily sexism. Many people confused it with sex. So some people were asking us, air your programs about sexism after the watershed, after 9 p.m., so that the children will not watch.
Sexism means to have a very strict idea of what each sex can and can't do, and it is a form of prejudice. Sometimes people are prejudiced and they don't even know it.
Absolutely. But this prejudice, whether known or unknown, can bring a lot of suffering. Well, there's a lot more we could say about women in our society, but we're running out of time. So let's get back to our quiz question, Lee.
Yeah, you asked me about women in powerful positions.
That's right. I asked you, how many heads of state or government do we have around the world now in 2015? Is it A, 9, B, 19, or C, 29?
And I said C, 29.
Unfortunately, Lee, it's wrong. The correct answer is B, 19. And according to a 2015 United Nations report, in 1995 there were only 12 female heads of state or government, but now there are 19. And before you go, let me remind you of some of the key words we've used today. They were covered, childless, role, discrimination, at the core, P, sexism.
Well, that just about brings us to the end of today's 6-Minute English. We would like to invite you to follow the BBC 100 Women season in English or your own language. Men are invited too.
And you can find the programs using the hashtag 100women or go to www.bbc.com/100women. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
My photo taste is the Pinterest because they are the best.
At Radio Hour from NPR.
Flick to link, a link to flick.
It's the TED Radio Hour from NPR. I'm Guy Raz. And on the show today, the power of networks, the forces that connect us, and the connections we build for ourselves. Can you tell me about your typical morning drive into work?
Absolutely terrible. Mind-numbing. For one thing, it lasts at least an hour and a half. And the interesting thing is that 6 years ago, over the same distance, my commute was 45 minutes.
This is Wanis Kavaj.
And I'm a director of healthcare strategy at UPS.
Wanis works at UPS headquarters in Atlanta. And yes, every day he spends 3 hours in his car going to and from work. So what is the distance from your home to your office?
Every morning I drive for 25 miles.
So 25 miles takes you about an hour and a half every day.
Yes.
What is the problem? Is it just more people? Or is it just more people who don't know how to drive? Or what?
I think it's the success of a system that was invented in the late 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. We're reaching the point where the productivity of this system is going down, and the basic problem is that the idea that most people living in a city can use their own individual car to go to work is just impossible with the infrastructure that has been built.
Now, Wanis happens to know a lot about transportation networks. Of course he would. He works at UPS. And he works mainly with healthcare clients. These are customers that need UPS to deliver medicine all over the world.
Exactly. It goes from the very familiar process of distributing flu vaccines every year at flu season to things that are very unpredictable, like the Ebola crisis, or where you have to intervene very quickly with no infrastructure and you have to come up with solutions.
And the more he talked to these companies, the more Wanis started to change the way he thinks about transportation networks.
I work with pharmaceutical companies, and they occasionally talk about drug delivery. And when they talk about drug delivery, we say, yeah, we can do that. We deliver all sorts of drugs. And the customer will typically say, no, we're not talking about the drug delivery to the patient. We're talking about the drug delivery to the cells inside the body. And so this type of conversation just made me realize that, you have a fascinating transportation system within our body where if you ingest a pill, it will go from your digestive system to your bloodstream and ultimately needs to go to potentially a specific area to produce an effect.
The human body has a pretty efficient network to move things around inside of us. And this idea made Juanice think maybe we could take some of those lessons from biology and use them to improve the transportation networks in our cities. Here's Juanice on the TED stage.
Biology has been in the transportation business for billions of years. It has been testing countless solutions to move nutrients, gases, and proteins. It really is the world's most sophisticated transportation laboratory. So what if the solution to our traffic challenges was inside us? I wanted to know, why is it that blood flows in our veins most of our life when our big cities get clogged on a daily basis? Each of us has 60,000 miles of blood vessels in our body. 60,000 miles. That's 2.5 times the Earth's circumference inside you. What it means is that blood vessels are everywhere inside us, not just under the surface of our skin. But if you look at our cities, yes, we have some underground subway systems, tunnels, and bridges. But the vast majority of our traffic is focused on the ground, on the surface. So in other words, while our vascular system uses the 3 dimensions inside us, our urban transportation is mostly 2-dimensional. The reason blood is so incredibly efficient is that our red blood cells are not dedicated to specific organs or tissues. Otherwise, we would probably have traffic jams in our veins. No, they're shared. They're shared by all the cells of our body. And because our network is so extensive, each one of our 37 trillion cells get its own deliveries of oxygen, precisely when it needs them. Blood is both a collective and an individual form of transportation. But for our cities, we've been stuck in an endless debate between creating a car-centric society or extensive mass transit systems.
I mean, it really is amazing when you think about it, like how incredibly efficient the human body is at moving things around, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. One thing that I was curious about was the heart. The heart is a pump. And I was curious to estimate how much it would cost us to operate it, if we plugged it on the electrical grid. And I made some calculations, and the estimate that I found, in order to operate your heart on a full year on the electrical grid system, it would cost you $1.10.
Wow.
And I just was mind blown by how little energy our body uses to transport oxygen, to transport nutrients, and it just was an impetus for me to dig into it and try to learn more about different components of that transportation system.
So, I mean, what could could the future look like? Like a future where streets and highways work like our bodies do? Like if you took a city like Atlanta in 100 years from now, what would all the transport options be like?
So, I mean, if you think about a city like Atlanta that has a very dense core with very high buildings and high rises.
Flick to link, link to flick. My photo taste is the Pinterest because they are the best.
To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Lee. And today we are talking about women's rights.